Cathy's going to talk about sugar, refined foods, insulin, and their effects on cancer. She's a certified health coach. She's author of The Sugar Switch, of which I'm sure she'll tell you about tonight. And she's certified as a holistic health practitioner by the American Association of Drugless Practitioners. Her mission is to empower men and women aged 40 to 65. I'm 75, and I don't know why she's excluding me, but anyway, that's a discussion I'll have with Cathy after the meeting. Anyway, to eliminate sugar cravings permanently and increase their energy, control weight, and live healthy lives free of pre-diabetes, diabetes, as well as related diseases. Recent research shows that sugar, refined foods, and insulin have a surprising effect on cancer cells. Certainly, that's what feeds cancer cells. So, if you minimize your sugar, certainly refined sugar intake, you're going to be helping to slow the growth of cancer cells. I remember Snuffy Myers, Charles Myers, who's spoken many times at the Prostate Cancer Research Institute annual conference in September that I know many of you have been to. And he in particular suggests try to eliminate adding sugar to your coffee, to your tea, to sugar drinks, etc. Anyway, Cathy, please, and welcome, and we look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Thank you. So I would like to, first of all, acknowledge all of you for being here. Thumbs up, way to go. You are here because you care about your health, and you're taking proactive steps to be healthier. And good for you. I applaud you. It's excellent. It shows that you really, you're knowledgeable, you want more knowledge, and it's great. So, way to go. So is it okay if I tell you just a little bit about myself so you know where I'm coming from, what I've experienced, and how I became a health coach? Is that okay? Sure. Take a couple minutes? Okay, so a few years ago, not very many years ago, actually 2011, things were going along swimmingly. Everything was fine, and then all of a sudden everything wasn't fine. I had a health crisis where I fell through the cracks of the medical system. And they didn't know what to do with me. But they did determine that I had systemic inflammation, which is inflammation throughout my body. But I had a whole bunch of other issues that they kind of shrugged their shoulders at. I had sore joints, I was overweight, I had no energy, like zero, probably in the negative. I had a whole lot of issues that were probably fairly common. So their answer was, well, you have inflammation, but you're fine. So it was up to me to actually find the solution. And by the grace of God, I found a solution through health coaching. Through a friend of a friend of a friend, seriously, I found a health coaching program. And Dave and I took that 3-month program. I dragged him along with me because he had some health issues too. So we went together to see if this would help. And within 3 months of taking this health coaching program, my inflammation was gone, like just gone, totally gone. My energy was almost back. My weight had really shifted a lot. I got rid of a lot of weight. My joint pain was on its way out. It took me about a year to recover from everything I had. The other thing I had was a compromised immune system. I had a virus that I could not get rid of. Didn't matter what I did, I couldn't get rid of it. By the end of 3 months, it was gone too. So this really, needless to say, caught my attention. You know, in 3 months without medical assistance, if I can get better from some of these common things that the doctors shrug their shoulders at, I certainly can help other people do this. So that's what kicked me into health coaching, literally. So I went to health coaching school and learned a whole bunch more and did more research, and the health coaching program I took, Dave and I took, was based on low glycemic eating, which means out with the sugar, in with the healthy stuff. And your blood sugar is balanced all the time, and your body has more energy because of that. It cuts inflammation, it's really amazing. So after health coaching school, I devised a program, and it has now evolved into the Sugar Switch system. And I wrote a book called The Sugar Switch. Oh, it's right here, right in front of me. Moved it too many times. The Sugar Switch. So this is, I do have copies here for sale if you like. They're $20 each. $3 out of each book will go to Prostate Calgary. And I have also donated one to the library. So it's all about the sugar and what it does in your body. So that's a little bit about me, where I've been, and why I am so passionate about telling people about the negative effects of sugar and how not to fall into the traps that sugar presents for us. We don't even know we're falling into the traps because sugar is such a common thing in our Western society. We have no idea that we're being marketed to and we're falling into what I would call a sugar trap. So enough about me. Did you know that the average Canadian, surprise, surprise, consumes about 88 pounds of sugar per year? That's a shocking statistic. That works out to 7.33 pounds per month. And if you break that down per day, that works out to almost 1/4 pound of sugar per day. So that is really, really shocking. And what I'm talking about is, I'm not talking about somebody sitting with a bag of sugar. I'm talking about refined sugars that you and I don't even know are hidden in foods. That we have no idea how much sugar we're consuming when we consume refined foods, beverages, all kinds of processed things, and sugar itself from chocolate or candy or whatever. All of it combined is what we're talking about, 88 pounds of sugar per year. Yeah, that's amazing. So what is the connection between sugar and cancer? That's the question we're looking at tonight. There is ongoing medical research about sugar, and at Harvard University, a fellow named Louis Cantley, a professor, and his team are actually investigating the link between sugar and cancer. So it's ongoing. But first, I have a question for you. It's quite an important question, actually. Can anybody tell me what is the difference between sugar and refined foods? Does anybody know? No?
Well, I guess sugar is the ingredient that goes into many refined foods.
That's true. Absolutely. Well, the truth is, there really is no difference nutritionally between sugar and refined foods. So that piece of chocolate, as far as nutrition goes, equals the hamburger and French fries. So why is that? It doesn't seem logical. So why is that the case? Is anybody know why that would be the case? Bit of a puzzler. They look different, true, yet both of them have no nutrition, none. And there is no difference in the way they are within the body. There's no difference in the effect it has on your body. Now, I will say the hamburger does have a piece of meat in there, which is protein. But all the stuff around the hamburger, the bun, the processed cheese, the relish, the ketchup, all the stuff around it, and the French fries, that totally negates what value you're going to get from the protein, because the protein is not enough to slow the digestion of all those sugars. So the body sees all of that extra stuff, the refined stuff, as sugar. So here's what happens. After you swallow these foods that are empty and have no nutrition, the sugar, the refined foods, and the junk food, they become glucose in your blood, and we call that blood sugar. And it happens very, very quickly. And the glucose can't stay in your blood. It has to be moved out of your blood. If anybody, is anybody diabetic? No? Yeah, so as any diabetic would know, if you have too high of a glucose level in your blood, it's not good. So the glucose has to be moved out of the blood. And the way that happens is that the pancreas produces insulin. Now, when we have a lot of refined foods, a lot of sugar, or sugar plus refined foods, the pancreas is forced to produce an excessive amount of insulin. So that's hard on the pancreas. And one thing about insulin is that it's a fat-storing hormone. So I want to take a minute here and tell you about insulin. Insulin is not the bad guy. Insulin's the good guy. And so is the pancreas. The bad guy is the sugar or the refined foods. So insulin is doing its job. And it's very, very important. What insulin does is it acts as the key. If you actually think of it as a key, it acts as the key for our body to be able to use the glucose for energy. So that glucose, our body needs glucose. It doesn't need fructose, it doesn't need sugar, it doesn't need all those other things, but it does need glucose, and our body does produce some glucose as well. So the insulin is actually the key that allows our body to use it in our muscles and cells. So here's insulin's job. Its job is to deliver this energy source, glucose, to, first of all, the first stop is the cells or the muscles, and if that's not working, it goes to the liver, and if that's not working, it builds new fat cells, and failing that, there is some other research that we'll talk about that they've found where the glucose goes. So, yeah. 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 So let's talk about these in detail. So first of all, if you think about the glucose as a delivery truck, it's trying to deliver this load of glucose to the cells and the muscles so that it can be used as energy, because that's what it needs the energy. So if the cells are not accepting it, if the cells say, nope, go away, we're not accepting it, that means that the key, insulin actually is like a key. It will unlock the cells, put the glucose into the cells, and lock the cells again, and it's done its job. So if the cells are not able to be unlocked, the cells are not open, then that means that there's what we call insulin resistance. The insulin key is broken, and it's broken because of the excessive amount of glucose or sugar. So then, secondly, it'll go to the liver. Now, the liver can have an excessive amount of glucose already in it, and that causes health issues like fatty liver. So the liver might say, nope, not taking any glucose, go away. Not doing it, you're not coming here. So then the insulin says, well, okay, guess we'll make some new fat cells because we need to store this energy somewhere, can't keep it on the truck. So it stores it in extra fat cells. Now, there is obesity, which is the photo, and we all know that has issues to it. It's a risk for all sorts of things, heart issues, stroke issues, all kinds of things. But there's also visceral fat. And visceral fat is when fat is actually around the organs themselves. Not just belly fat, but it's around the organs themselves. That's very dangerous fat, visceral fat. And here's where the new research comes in. This is Louis Cantley and his group at Harvard. They're researching about how insulin actually affects cancer cells. So cancer cells, what they're finding is that some of the cancer cells have receptors on them. Those weird little shapes on the outside of the cancer cell, those are the receptors. And what the research is finding, and by the way, it is ongoing research. When it comes to research, there's never a final answer. So far the research has found that 1/3 of common cancers have these receptors, including breast cancer and colon cancer. And I believe they are looking at prostate cancer and pancreatic cancer. They're probably looking at a whole lot of cancers, but they have come up with breast cancer and colon cancer so far. Okay, so back to the cancer cell with the receptors. So remember, we still have this insulin going through the blood, and it's got a load of glucose, and glucose is energy. It's the fuel for your body. So glucose comes along and sees this cancer cell with the receptors, and it immediately binds to the receptors. It gets caught by the receptors and binds to the receptors and thinks, oh, all right, I can give you my load of insulin. You're a cell. Cool. We'll give you the load of insulin. So the insulin signals the cancer cell to use the glucose to grow. So now we have the glucose being used by the cancer cell, and the cancer cell is growing. Problem with that is that insulin and glucose are hijacked. So now this cancer cell, maybe it's metastasized, maybe not, but it's growing and it wants more insulin. So the insulin and glucose are hijacked, and the cancer cell now takes all of the insulin and glucose. So, and it continues to grow with all of that insulin and glucose. Yeah. Oh, I had a little glitch in my slides here. I had a duplicate for some reason. Or triplicate.
Okay.
Next one, yeah. So the glucose energy that feeds the cancer cells now, it's feeding the cancer cells instead of actually going to your muscles and your cells for energy. So the energy of the glucose is going to the wrong place, is what's happening. Yep. So that's actually how sugar and insulin are affecting cancer. But there is more. Sugar is not a one sort of job thing. It does a lot of different negative things. So our bodies need a balanced pH level in order to stay healthy. Our bodies have to achieve that. Otherwise, we just can't manage. So the pH level of somewhere around 7, I don't have the exact numbers, between 6 and 7.5 or something like that, is what the body considers a neutral pH level. 0 to 6 is acidic, and above 7, from 8 to 14, is alkaline. So sugar and junk food, together as sugar, creates an acidic environment in your body. And it does a lot of things. And I know this from experience because I have had osteoporosis. And osteoporosis is caused by this very same problem. At least it has been in me. And there's just tons of problems that an acidic environment causes. And sugar, being acidic, can also cause cancer to grow. And sugar also increases your risk for serious health issues, other serious health issues. And we're talking about things like diabetes, which diabetes on its own comes with its own huge list of things, like different health issues. We're talking about high blood pressure, which is one of them, heart issues, heart attack perhaps, stroke issues, a compromised immune system, which I know all about because I had that, and joint pain, inflammation, which, yeah, I know that that's definitely part of sugar's negative stuff. Yeah. Sugar also physically causes stress in the body. It actually, what it does is it increases the fight or flight hormones, and that's a stress response. So it actually causes stress in the body, and of course, it's addictive. Yeah. So a few days ago, in an email, David and I got a little chart from the people in Australia who have that sugar wrap, that sugar film. Has anybody heard of that? They're on about how negative sugar is. My kind of people. So they sent us this chart, and it talks about all the negative effects of sugar, and they've included a few more things than I have. So starting at the 12 o'clock and going clockwise, at the 12 o'clock, I know you probably can't read the writing. I can't read the writing from here, but my eyes are interesting. So at the 12 o'clock, it's talking about how the body needs to maintain a balanced blood glucose level. And then if you go to 1 o'clock, it's talking about heart issues. The high Yeah, high blood sugar and heart issues. And then at 3 o'clock, it's talking about obesity and weight problems. And then about 4 o'clock, it's talking about dentistry and how sugar is really, really bad for your teeth. We all know that. Then the next one between 5 and 6 o'clock, it's talking about fatty liver disease. And the next one, just past 6 o'clock, about 7 o'clock, it's talking about all the other things that sugar does, like pancreatic cancer, kidney issues, gout, all sorts of things. And then number 8 is interesting because that one with the apple, it's actually saying that the only amount of sugar we really need is in whole foods. Apples, oranges, fruit, vegetables even have a little bit of natural sugar. That's really all the body really needs in terms of sugar. And it's natural sugar. The body knows what to do with it, and those sugars are also, they come complete with nutrients. They're not void of nutrition. So they have all sorts of nutrients that the body uses. At 9 o'clock, they're talking about insulin and diabetes. And then 10 o'clock, they're talking about cognitive health, which I didn't mention. They're starting to find a link between sugar and cognitive decline, Alzheimer's and dementia and all that sort of thing. So, yeah. So what step can you take right now to reduce the risk of chronic illnesses or serious health issues from sugar? And how can you escape the sugar trap? It's a trap. I've been in that trap. It's awful. So, first of all, whole foods, fresh fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, that sort of thing. Healthy protein. Lots of good water. And healthy oils. All of these things are what the body needs and what the body can use on a daily basis. That's what keeps us healthy. That's where the nutrition is. And what you can do also is eliminate, or at the very least drastically reduce, the sugar products, the cookies, the donuts, the beverages. Now I want to spend just a moment telling you about the beverages. These are probably one of the least understood sources of sugar, excess added refined sugars. Juice, for instance, even if it's natural juice, 100% juice from the fruit, 1 glass of orange juice or apple juice can contain the same amount of sugar as 8 of the real fruit without the fiber. So 1 glass of juice is the same amount of sugar as 8 oranges or 8 apples, depending on what juice you're drinking. And that's a lot of sugar. Even if it's natural sugar, too much is too much. So juices are really not healthy, and quite often it's not always natural sugar right from the fruit. Yeah. Davis just reminded me that the snacks tonight, you notice that there isn't any soft drinks and there's no sweetened beverages. It's coffee, tea, water, which is great. Thank you, Kelly. And and the food, you'll notice it's fruit and nuts and cheese. And I have to tell you the reason why this is put together the way it is. The fruit has sugar, no question about it. But the fruit also has in itself, Mother Nature and God put this together with fiber, with vitamins, minerals, phytonutrients. All of those things help your body. But even though there's other nutrients, there's still sugar in the fruit. So we need some protein to help temper that sugar, to slow the sugar digestion down so we don't cause the pancreas stress. So we don't cause too much insulin to be produced at once. So that's why there's nuts and cheese. So it's balanced. So thank you so much, Kelly, for doing that. Yeah. So can you back up just a little bit more? I would like to tell you about soft drinks. Yeah, soft drinks are probably one of the most underestimated sources of sugar, refined sugars. So 1 12-ounce soft drink has as much as 10 teaspoons of sugar. It's huge. Absolutely huge, and people don't know it. Nobody knows. They don't want you to know because you might not drink it. So most people, research is statistics, are saying that most people drink 20 ounces of soft drink at once, like at one sitting. So that's almost 18 teaspoons of sugar. That's huge. And if you think that iced tea, like I used to think that iced tea was good, I switched from pop to iced tea. I had no idea it's the same thing. It's just not fizzy. So iced tea, if it's commercial iced tea, same deal.
What about zero?
What about, sorry?
Zero.
Yeah, well, that's an excellent question, and thank you so much for asking. It's true, Coke Zero, it doesn't have the calories, but you're substituting one negative thing for another. So you don't have the sugar, true, but you have chemical sweeteners. And chemical sweeteners, they're not angels themselves. They have harmful effects. Aspartame, for instance, is a brain toxin. There's a lot of negative effects from chemical sweeteners. So even though there's like 0 calories, it doesn't mean 0 harm. Yeah, yes?
The Coke advertising now, their newest one is sugar-free. I haven't seen it, I haven't looked at the things on the units, but...
Gotta ask what's in it.
Yeah? Oh,
Yeah, totally. If it's sugar-free, yeah, they took the sugar out, but they put something else in that's gonna hook you.
Oh, I'm sure they did.
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing about the artificial sweeteners, another thing about the artificial sweeteners, if you're diabetic especially, you want to be careful because that artificial sweetener will actually trick the brain into thinking that there is sugar, and it will kick the pancreas into working. So you might want to be really careful about that. The other thing that artificial sweeteners do is that it absolutely keeps you addicted. There's an addiction center in our brain, and the artificial sweeteners stimulate that just as much as sugar. So there's no mistake that all of these things have a lot of sugar. There's no mistake in any of this junk food, how they've made it and how they've marketed it. No mistakes. It's all by design. It is actually designed to bring you back for more. It tastes like more. So that's why. So if you can have just water or coffee or tea, then that's great. And by the way, if you're a tea drinker or a coffee drinker and you have 1 teaspoon of sugar, even if it's sugar or honey, whatever it is, or whatever sweetener, not artificial sweetener, please, but if you have sugar, 1 teaspoon in your coffee or tea, that isn't going to harm you as much as these soft drinks. You know, so you want to be mindful of how much you're having, for sure, for sure. Okay, next, please. Thank you.
Is there a big difference between brown sugar and white?
Color. Yeah, refining. There is white sugar is bleach, so there are some differences. But as far as the body goes, there's not a lot of difference. The body it's sugar, pretty much. Some sugars, in my Sugar Switch book, I talk about sugars. There's so many names for sugars, and they're coming up with new ones all the time. It's frustrating because if you're a label reader and you want to know what's in it, sometimes you don't even know what the names mean because they come up with new names for all these things. There are some sweeteners that have some nutritional value. Maple syrup has some. Now, I'm emphasizing the word some, because I would never have a whole lot of maple syrup for the nutritional value. It's not, there just isn't enough. And honey has some nutritional value, again, some, but it's not worth it. You're far better off to get your nutrition from fruits and vegetables, and then have that little bit of honey in your tea or coffee, or a small amount, because the sweeteners are not meant to be nutritional. They're meant to be sweet, right? Stevia is one that is a natural sweetener. It's from a plant that comes from South America. It does not spike the blood sugar. It is safe for diabetics. And it's very, very concentrated. And it doesn't cause the spiking and crashing of blood sugar. So you could try that. I use stevia in my tea. But, yeah. Sugar is still sugar. Yes?
On products, when you look at the label, what is indicated are the number of grams of sugar. So could you just tell us, like, what would be a healthy limit for the number of grams of sugar that you would consume, for example, even if you had a glass of apple juice, not from concentrate, but, real apple juice. How many grams is, like, too much?
That's a very good question. Thank you. And it's a very big question because there's a lot to it. I'll talk about this ebook. I have some resources for you that I can give you for sure. And I've written an ebook called Eat Healthy Now, Simple Shopping System. In here, I talk about reading labels. And labels are a minefield all on their own. So that what you want to look for in a label is how big is your serving size. If your serving size is 2 teaspoons and it's 20 grams of sugar, you're in trouble, right? So you got to look at the serving size to begin with. And then when you're looking at sugar, you always want to look for the other nutrients that are going to slow the sugar digestion down so it doesn't make your blood sugar do this. So what you're looking for then is fiber and protein. So if it has a whole lot of sugar, like 20 grams of sugar and 1 gram of protein and 1 gram of fiber, not good. Not good. That means it's mostly sugar. So you want to look at that, and then you also want to look at the ingredients. So there's 2 things on a label. There's the nutrition table, which is closer to the top of the product, and then there's the ingredients. Sometimes the ingredients list is like so minute you can hardly find it, but they're supposed to have ingredients listed. So when you look at the ingredients, the first ingredient is the one that is the largest ingredient in that product. So if the first ingredient is sugar, you know that that's what's in it mostly, and the rest is less than that. If the first ingredient is flour, white flour, you know it's refined, white, bleached, no nutrition flour. So if you're gluten-free, you got to be really careful with that too. So you want to look at the ingredients. And I have a rule of thumb myself. I've been a label reader for many years and been confused thousands of times by labels. But my own rule of thumb is when I look at a label, I check the sugar, I check the fiber, I check the protein of the product, and if there's way too much sugar, back on the shelf. And if it looks maybe okay, then I'll go to the ingredients. If sugar or any form of sugar is the top of the list, forget it. But I also look down the list and see if I know what the other ingredients are. A lot of times there's a huge list of chemical names. If I can't pronounce them and I don't know what they are, I don't want it in my body. It's like, who knows what they're trying to feed me, right? So you have to sort of decide for yourself what's important. So when I look for a refined product, and I don't buy very many, like if I'm looking for, say, a pasta sauce, sometimes I do buy pasta sauce. I look for the pasta sauce that has the fewest ingredients and the least sugar, and all the ingredients I can read and understand. Plus I look at the nutrition part of it. So that's my way of looking at labels, but I do talk about it in here. So, thank you for asking. It's a big topic, all on its own. Yeah, so here we are with the resources. Right exactly fitting into what we're talking about. Yeah. So the first thing that I have come up with that will help you is the shopping list, Eat Healthy Now checklist. So this is a 2-page, or you can print it front and back, shopping list. So before you go to the grocery store, figure out what healthy food you're going to buy, and then stick to the list. So it's got all kinds of categories. You can have a look at it afterwards. I'll put it out. I didn't print off a whole bunch because I have no idea how many people want it, so I don't want to waste trees. But you'll be able to get these things easily. I'll let you know how for sure. And that is the healthy checklist is so that you can go to the grocery store and get all the best foods that will serve your needs and provide the best nutrition for your body so that you are the healthiest you can be. And the second thing is this, we were just talking about it, the Eat Healthy Now shopping system. It's very simple. It'll save you time at the grocery store. It'll save you money. You won't have to go up and down all the aisles where everything calls to you and says, pick me, pick me. So it's really good. Shopping tips and the information on label reading. And that's so that when you come home from the grocery store, you have all the good things in your grocery bag that you need, the healthy stuff that's going to keep you as healthy as possible. And the third thing I have for you is the PDF of this this chart from that sugar wrap, or that sugar, I think they call them, that sugar film, I think it's called. And it tells you what happens to sugar in your body. So here's the resources. I don't expect you to copy this out, and I will have it up later, but there's a much easier way to get it. I have a sign-up sheet. All you have to do is leave me your name and email address, and I'll be more than happy to send you the links and the PDF. So is sugar stealing your health? Is sugar causing your cancer to grow? Is it feeding your cancer? Now, this is an important question, especially if you are newly diagnosed with any kind of cancer, prostate cancer included, or if you are in watchful waiting. This could actually influence what's going on in your body, thinking about this. So, is it okay if I tell you what other solution there is for you to be healthier and deal with the possibility that cancer is being fed by sugar? Is it okay if I tell you what else there is? Yeah? Okay. So I have a program called Empowered Eating. And as a health coach, this is what I do, is I help people to be the healthiest they can be. I help them to be empowered to basically kick the sugar and the negative foods that are holding them back in their health, that are causing health issues. So that's what it's focused on. So it's focused on stopping sugar from feeding the cancer and stopping sugar from causing an addiction. Sugar is an addiction. And they say that the sugar addiction is actually worse than heroin. It's harder to get off of. And one of the reasons, interestingly enough, I just heard someone's point of view on this the other day, which I thought was really, really interesting. Whoa, avalanche. Thank you. I thought was really, really interesting. David was actually reading about it, and he was telling me that this person says that it's much, much harder to kick sugar and kick refined foods because we eat 3 times a day. So this is something we're faced with 3 times a day. It's not like other addictions where you might be faced with it a couple times a month or a couple times a year, whatever it is. But sugar and refined foods.
May have come loose, David.
Oh, sugar and refined foods. We are actually, faced with that 3 times a day. So that's a toughie. So we have to have the knowledge and the fortitude of how to get around it. Okay, so the Empowered Eating program, the goal is to increase the good stuff, the stuff that's got real nutrition that our bodies can use, the fiber, the protein, the phytonutrients, the vitamins, the minerals, everything our body needs to be healthy, and decrease the sugar. And if possible, totally eliminate it. But I have to tell you, living in the Western world, it's not easy to eliminate. Matter of fact, I think it's impossible. But there is such a thing as the 90-10 rule, which I live by. And what it means is 90% of the time, what you do, the food you eat 90% of the time will rule over what you do 10% of the time. So if you have a clean, healthy diet that's sugar-free 90% of the time, the 10% of the time is not going to bother you. So that actually really does work. So in my program, that's actually what we aim for, is 90-10. So.
Cathy, why don't you
Okay, well,
yeah, maybe take questions if you like.
yeah. So, yeah, so do you have questions? I've had some great questions so far. Yes?
How about red wine? How many teaspoons of sugar is in that?
Oh.
Who cares?
Yeah. Yeah, if you've had enough, you don't care. Yeah, there's a big controversy about wine, I tell you. Red wine, as you probably have read or heard, the French drink all kinds of red wine and they have less heart problems than the rest of the world. Well, there is such a thing in red wine as something called resveratrol, and it's an antioxidant from the grapes. I believe it's from the skin of the grapes more than the actual flesh of the grapes. But red wine has some redeeming qualities. But if you're looking for vitamins and minerals and all that sort of stuff in wine, you might want to look elsewhere. Because there really is more nutrition in fruits and vegetables than there is in wine. But I don't think wine is harmful unless, of course, you are alcoholic. Then it would be. But I don't know. It's a matter of what works for you. Everybody's individual. And in health coaching, I believe that we are all individuals. So what works for one person might not work for another person. Even if you're related, what works for you may not work for your twin brother or twin sister or whatever, because you are different people. So, yeah, but that's a good question. Thank you. More questions?
Have you ever read the book Wheat Belly?
I have the book and I have the cookbook. I haven't read the whole thing. But
It tells you, of course, how much sugar is actually in bread and any of the products that are, have the flour.
yep, and that's a whole nother issue on its own, for sure it is. And it does impact blood sugar and the sugars, the refined sugars. But the gluten-free movement and the wheat-free movement, it's a whole nother ball game all on its own. It's yeah.
But if you really are trying to eliminate sugar, it certainly is a huge avenue that you have to explore, because otherwise people eat bread, and pasta.
Truly, pasta. I know about pasta.
All of those products that are just full of the flour.
Yes, yeah. And I actually, in my own experience and in health coaching, my philosophy is that grains are optional. Canada's Food Guide would tell you otherwise, but they're connected to marketing. But grains are optional. You don't need grains. What you need is fruits, vegetables, more vegetables and fruits, healthy protein, healthy fats, and water. Grains are definitely an option. There are healthy grains out there, and some of them are seeds. They're not actually grains. Like quinoa is a seed. Buckwheat is not a grain either, but we use some of these as grains. Brown rice is okay. It's not the best. White rice is terrible. And wheat. Yeah, anything white. That's a good way to put it. Although cauliflower is white, but it's got some redeeming qualities. But grains are definitely not necessary. There is vitamins, there's minerals, and there's some fiber in grains, but you can get those same things in vegetables.
Now, have you ever done any studies or heard about coconut oil?
I have several blogs.
I have heard, not read, but I have heard that a tablespoon of coconut oil per day can actually start to reverse the symptoms of dementia.
That's correct.
Well,
Is that correct?
that's well.
What I've been reading is that if you take the coconut oil and you put it in your mouth and chew it,
Yeah,
then you spit it
it
out
comes in
and draws
a
out.
great big,
Oh yeah, we
Yeah.
use coconut. We do not use we do not use canola oil or any of those type of oils because they're not good for you. We only cook with coconut oil
coconut
And
oil.
we do use some butter
and butter.
and with some olive oil. But I do want to tell you that there's a lot of controversy about coconut oil, because years ago coconut oil was considered bad because it's a saturated fat. Yes, it's a saturated fat, true, it is, but it is a different length of fatty acid chain. It's a medium chain fatty acid. The saturated fat you get from meat is a long chain fatty acid, which is different. The body deals with them differently. So coconut oil is a different saturated fat, even though it is saturated. So it has a lot of redeeming qualities. And there's a lot of controversy out there.
What about butter?
Butter, again, it's a saturated fat. If you were to use the whole pound of butter at one go, not a good idea. But if you use some butter once in a while in your whatever you cooking, whatever it is, I believe it's not harmful. What's more harmful than that is the margarines. Those margarines, they're man-made. They're debatable. There's a huge controversy about all of these things. Yeah, in the nutrition world, there's controversy after controversy about all these things.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Pat, step up here and finish.
Oh,
You have
okay.
to do it through here.
Okay.
She's got a couple more
I do have a
slides.
couple more things I want to
Mostly
tell you.
talking Anyway.
Yeah. So my empowered eating program, I want to tell you about it. The first thing is it's a group health coaching program. So it's not one-on-one, it's one-on-many, which is a good thing because in a group you have a lot of camaraderie, you have support from the other group members, just like a support group like this. Same deal, only where, the group is working on eliminating sugar basically and increasing the good stuff. And the actual time commitment is 2 sessions per month, 1 hour per session. And the program itself is,
You start around.
it's basically a 4-month program starting in December, in which a lot of people go, oh, December, don't want to do that. But actually that is the best time to start because you can start right away learning about what else you can choose instead of all those sweet things that are always right in front of you at Christmas time. It's actually a good time to get started. Yeah. And preceding the group course, the group program is 3 months. Preceding that is a 1-month private, online, private coaching, 2-module introduction course called Empower Your, go back, please. Energize, that's it. Energize your success. So it's an introductory course and it will set you up for success in the group program. So this is designed to increase your pH balance or make your pH balance better in your body, to give you more energy so that you look good and feel good, and it's designed to deal with cravings and stop the addiction. It's designed to stop cancer from growing from sugar. And it's designed to reduce the risk of other health issues, plus reduce weight gain. So if you need more information, I'd be happy to tell you about it. And at the Sugar Switch, the Sugar Switch system is designed to give up sugar painlessly and permanently and create a healthy lifestyle that lasts. That's the basis of the Sugar Switch program. So we've already had the Q&A. And I would like to say thank you very much to Prostate Calgary for inviting me to speak. And thank you to all of you for being here and being such a good audience and asking questions and being engaged. Thank you very much. Yeah. Just I'd like to leave you with a couple of quotes. These are things that caught my attention. The first one is, the groundwork of all happiness is health. So what that means to me is that without your health, you got nothing. And if you can't find time to be healthy, sooner or later, you'll have to find time to be sick. Yeah. So that's it.
Thank you, Cathy, and I'd invite people to come over and sign up for the handouts that she mentioned, and certainly have a look at the book, The Sugar Switch. Bottom line, I think, is avoid the excessive fruit drinks or pop, certainly. I just decided I love coffee and tea, and I don't use sugar on either anymore, and that was a tough goal. But if you start small and then work your way up, but certainly as Cathy said, anyway, thanks for coming.